Good evening and welcome. I would like to open the public portion of the February 21st, 2024 Richfield Park Board of Education meeting. The time is now 7:30 p.m. Let's begin with a salute to the flag. Mr. Bisick, can you please read the Open Public Meetings Act?
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Richfield Park Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, place, therefore posted in the Bergen Record, Star Ledger, municipal buildings, Board of Education offices, and district website. Second part, public participation will be conducted both in person and virtually through Zoom. All public will be muted throughout the meeting. Public participation comments are limited to 5 minutes. Public will be able to both speak and be seen by the board when participating virtually, telephonically, via Zoom. Individuals participating virtually that wish to make comments during the public participation will need to raise their hand by clicking the blue hand icon at the bottom of the Zoom window. Individuals participating by telephone that wish to make comments during public participation will need to hit *9 on their telephone to raise their hand. The business administrator, board secretary, will then unmute the individuals one at a time to speak in the order of their hand was raised.
Thank you. May I please have a roll call?
Yes, Mr. Cooney,
Present.
Ms. Kraft,
Here.
Mr. Feitros,
Here.
Ms. McNeil,
Here.
Mr. Malul.
Here.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Here.
Ms. Schmidt,
Here.
Ms. Velez,
Here.
Ms. Orth,
Here.
President Martinez.
Here, we have a quorum. We have several minutes to approve. Ms. Velez, would you please move the minutes?
I so move minutes from October 18, 2023.
20.
December 20, 2023, January 3rd, 2024, and I move to table the minutes from January 17, 2024.
I'll second.
May I have a roll call for approval of minutes?
Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Point of order, yeah. I think the table, the one first and then move the rest.
I apologize. I misinstructed Ms. Velez. Can you
Redo.
table the first one that we're tabling and then move the others?
I move to table the minutes from January 17, 2024.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Ms. Kraft,
Yes.
Mr. Feitros,
Yes.
Ms. McNeil,
yes.
Mr. Malul,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Orth,
Yes.
President Martinez.
Yes. That resolution passes. Can you please move the minutes?
I so move to approve the minutes of December 20th, 2023, January 3rd, 2024, and October 18, 2023.
Second.
Second,
May I please have a roll call?
Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Ms. Kraft,
Yes.
Mr. Feitros,
Yes.
Ms. McNeil,
yes.
Mr. Malou,
Yes, for the minutes of January 3rd, and I abstain for the ones that I was not a board member for in 2023.
noted. Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Orth,
Yes.
President Martinez.
Yes. Resolution passes.
Sorry, Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
I think she abstains from,
I'm a yes too.
Ms. Velez,
See, yes.
sorry, we had a long pre-meeting. We're all going to take a deep breath. That resolution passes. So communications from the public, no communications to the full board from the public. However, I received several emails from a parent of one of our students, and I have been briefed on the matter by the superintendent. We will now move to committee reports. Buildings and Grounds, Trustee Cooney.
Thank you, President Martinez. The B and G Committee met on February 12th. Present in attendance were Dr. V, Superintendent of Schools, Assistant Superintendent, Business Administrator, Mr. Beisig, District Operations Manager, Mr. Eagle, myself, President Martinez, Trustee McNeil, Trustee Schmidt, Ms. Gonzalez, the Director of Special Services, and Mr. John Hayes, Supervisor of Special Services. To touch on a couple topics, we spoke, Mrs. Gonzalez and Mr. Hayes had a discussion regarding special services in the program. Reviewed the ongoing need for additional space within the Lincoln School to support the student population. The current district student population will need new space within the district to accommodate this growth. We went over the numbers. Ms. Gonzalez reviewed the current anticipated growth as well within the 18 to 21-year-old program. Regarding the central office, a potential relocation, we discussed with Dr. V the status and looking into possible moves for central office relocation. District-wide technology upgrade report, Mr. Eagle reviewed the status of the district's technology infrastructure and our needs assessment. Mr. Eagle and Mr. Beisig reviewed the current concerns with our solutions architects and with the current capital projects that are supervised by solutions. Touch base on the ROD grant update, which is still currently under review and needs further discussion before the final stages of the process. The junior senior high school academic wing HVAC. We touched base again on solutions currently overseeing the project, and we're just waiting for the new rooftop units to arrive for installation this summer. We discussed the sound baffling in the gym and talked about the emergent maintenance grant funds to purchase this much needed aid for the sound baffles in the gym, as it's currently an issue to neighboring classrooms because of the sound. District-wide HVAC preventative maintenance contract, Mr. Eagle reviewed, which is needed for the district. And lastly, potential summer projects were discussed. And the district is reviewing and obtaining estimates for potential tile replacement and painting over the summer. The meeting adjourned at 6:02 p.m. and the next meeting is scheduled for Monday, March 18th. That's it for B&G. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Cooney. Policy, Trustee Orth.
The policy committee met on February 13th.
The policy committee met on the 12th. Sorry. Present were Trustee Orth, President Martinez, Trustee Schmidt, and Trustee Baloo. The only policy we discussed that day was the residency policy. And that was the 13th. Oh, really are a mess, yeah. We will move on to, hopefully we're gonna correct it now. Hopefully we'll move on to Community Relations Ad Hoc Committee, Trustee Rodriguez.
Hi. The committee met on February 15th, 2024. The Homeschool Connection Subcommittee met. The meeting started at 10:45 a.m., ended at 10:59 a.m. Committee members in attendance, Dr. Vespignani, Superintendent of Schools, Mrs. Anilian, Math Coach, Laura Woods, ELA Consultant, myself, and Trustee Schmidt. The committee discussed the success of the recent math night held on February 6th. The event was well attended by administration, district employees and their families, students, and I just want to thank our high school students who volunteered their time. Students, and also it was well attended by students and their family. The committee noted that this event was promoted by the central office, elementary school building principals, math coach, literacy consultant, and the supervisor BSL, World Language and BSI. Flyers were sent home during parent-teacher conferences, thank you to the teachers, and by building principals, in addition to mass text messaging, and email blast. The math activities were engaging and appropriate. Students were proud to share their math experiences with their families and their friends too. The committee discussed potential adjustments for future events, such as the allocation of space to accommodate an expanded area for students in the early childhood grade. Thank you, Trustee Schmidt. The committee agreed to schedule another meeting shortly to discuss the third and final events for this academic year, with a specific focus on middle school and high school students. That's it. Thank you very much.
Faculty and Programs, Trustee Kraft.
Good evening. The Faculty and Programs Committee met on February 13th at 6 p.m. Present were Dr. Vespignani, Assistant Superintendent of Schools Carmela Triglia, Board President Dr. Martinez, myself, Trustee Rodriguez, and Trustee Velez. We discussed the current agenda items for tonight's meeting. On tonight's meeting, we discuss our district organization chart that was created and is connected to our district goals. We discuss our current before and after care program and possibly exploring adding some enrichment programs to the program. We discuss career fairs. We're currently approaching career fair season. It's part of our district goals to increase presence of the district at various career fairs. Administration will be attending the Bergen County Community Fair in March. And HR is registered to attend the William Patterson Mega Career Fair and the TC&J Virtual Career Fair in April. We're waiting to hear back on Montclair, who has a robust pre-K certified staff, and the principals and staff are excited to be ahead of the game with regards to hiring. We discussed the high impact tutoring grant. Many thanks and praise to Carmela Triglia for this initiative. She was able to work very rigorously, and we were awarded a $154,000 grant to help students in grades 3 through 8, to help them in math and literacy. So 120 students were identified, and they're currently in the process of working through the logistics of that program. But it's a huge, huge gain for our district with hopes to help with academic achievement. We discussed the March 13th Professional Development Day. There is a current shift. Our supervisors are currently in charge of organizing and creating professional development for their departments. We discussed CTE and the exploration of expanding that program. There was a visit to PTCI to see the programs currently being run there, which sparked ideas regards to connecting certain subject areas. We're looking into the Perkins grant and understanding our funding and how we can move forward with that grant. The homeschool committee connection was also discussed. We just heard from Trustee Rodriguez about that work on that math event. That was a great success, and talking about future events, particularly geared towards the junior, senior high school. And finally, we discussed the Social Justice Committee. The administration would like to determine what would be appropriate for this committee to do moving forward. The committee identified current issues within the district that may disenfranchise certain populations in the district, taking a particular look at multilingual students who will come to the district and how we're assisting them acclimate to their new surroundings. That's it for faculty and programs. We're scheduled to meet again on Tuesday, March 18th.
Thank you very much, Trustee Kraft. Finance and Insurance, Trustee McNeil.
Thank you. The Finance and Insurance Committee met on the 12th at 6 p.m. Dr. Vespignani, Ms. Triglia, Mr. Beisig, Dr. Martinez, myself, and Trustee Malul were all in attendance. We reviewed some of the agenda items for tonight, including the maintenance reserve withdrawal and some settlements that are on the agenda. We discussed the status of the 2022 to 23 audit. We also reviewed a special services discussion with Ms. Gonzalez and Mr. Hayes. And we had, in context of discussing the audit and the budget for next year, we reviewed the process of how we will be reviewing the preliminary budget, and also talked about the potential of the April meeting needing to move to align with state requirements. This committee will meet again. Our next scheduled meeting is the 18th of March.
Thank you. Trustee McNeil, you're back on for negotiations.
Thank you again. The Negotiations Committee met also on the 12th at 7 PM, right after Finance and Insurance, attended by Dr. Vespiani, Mr. Beisig, David Disler, our attorney, Dr. Martinez, Trustee Velez, Trustee Phytros, and myself. We are actively working on the RPAA contract that expires this June, and our first meeting with that association is scheduled for March 7th.
Thank you for those very nice reports. We'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Martinez, and good evening, everyone. First, I wanted to just share that unfortunately our student representatives could not join us this evening, so we look forward to hearing from them again in March. As noted on the agenda, I respectfully submit the HIB report that was presented to the board in executive session. And in regard to some school news across our K-6 buildings, we recently held, sponsored by the Women's Club and assisted by our friends at the Public Library, the district spelling bee, and we had a number of students participate, and the finalists were able to move on. So I just wanted to recognize them formally and congratulate them. Ellie Iscaros of the Lincoln School placed in the top 3 within the 4th and 5th grade district spelling bee. Ellie then made the top 3 for the Bergen County level, and she's advancing to the state spelling bee in New Brunswick on March 7th. Emma Lantigua of Roosevelt, congratulations to Ellie. Emma Lantigua of Roosevelt actually won the overall grades 4th through 5th spelling bee. Then she also then competed in the next level in the Bergen County district. And lastly, Mila Dunn of the Grant School came in 2nd place in our district spelling bee. So congratulations to these finalists, and thank you to our sponsors and all of the students who participated. Great job. Also in K-6 news, the Global School Play Day, students participated in and had fun playing with their peers. All schools also participated in the Great Kindness Week, and classes discussed ways to be kind to one another within the school and our community, which is great to hear. At the junior high school, our supervisor of school counseling, Ms. Hasselberger, hosted an informational session regarding the early college program on Monday, February 12th. It was well attended by both students and parents in grades 7th through 10th, and very pleased to start building the 7th cohort of this successful program. The school council department will also be hosting a junior planning night for students and families on Monday, February 26th. The presentation will focus on the various pathways students may pursue post-high school. The academic decathlon team competed on Saturday, January 28th at Ramapo High School and brought in several awards, including 3 honorable mentions in art, science, and interview categories, bronze and gold awards in economics. Congratulations to team MVP Jonathan Numchik and Stephen Jerez, who qualified to continue to the state level of the competition. And the project graduation parent committee's major fundraiser will take place on March 13th. That's a Wednesday, when we host the world famous Harlem Wizards. Please come out and support this important cause. The link to purchase tickets will be shared via email and social media, which is forthcoming. In regard to the agenda items, and as noted in faculty program, I'm pleased to present to the board the revised organizational chart, which more accurately captures the current status of our administrative structure and reporting lines. We also recommended it as previously approved by the state monitor, the shared services agreement for technology. And just a note on that, as we very carefully made the transition to administrative structure, what the research told us was the importance of having a transitional plan in place, and we're very appreciative that Mr. Egan was able to provide the shared services agreement for the district to ease this transition and to ensure that all access and usernames and passwords ensured a smooth transition. and moving forward, to be able to inform the upcoming budget in terms of technology infrastructure. The shared service agreement has been very helpful in terms of projecting and determining some of the priorities within the field of technology. So more on that in the budget presentation. Wanted to thank all of our families who joined the Parent Guardian Academy event as shared by Trustee Rodriguez. It was a really well-attended event here in the cafeteria. It was really great to see our families and students participating in math events together. I wanted to thank the Home and School Connection for all their hard work in organizing a really fantastic event, and we're very eager to begin planning our next one. I wanted to note that kindergarten registration will be opening up on March 1st. All details will be provided as a pop-up on the district website. And wanted to note that there was a change in the preliminary budget meeting, change in date from Wednesday, March 13th to Tuesday, March 12th. And lastly, to wrap up the superintendent's report, I wanted to welcome our Assistant Superintendent of Schools, Ms. Triglia, who will provide a brief report on the full administration of the NJGPA.
Thank you. Good evening. Back in September, we had reported out on the New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment. We presented on the spring 23 administration of the NJGPA, which is the State Graduation Proficiency Assessment that is administered to students in grade 11 to determine graduation readiness. This is the first pathway to meeting graduation requirements. In October, students in grade 12 who did not pass the NJGPA in grade 11 were given the opportunity to retake the assessment to try to meet that minimum cutoff score of 725. In addition to students who may have not have passed it in the spring administration, students who are newly enrolled into the state, perhaps this was their first assignment in a New Jersey school that did not take it in grade 11, were eligible to take the assessment, or newly arrived English language learners who were exempt in grade 11 as well, had the opportunity to take it. So just to be clear, what I'm reporting out on tonight is the October administration for students in grade 12 who took the NJGPA either again or for the first time as seniors. 28 students participated in the ELA NJGPA administration in the fall. Of that, 32% met the cutoff score of 725. The state average is 28.9, so we'd like to note that we were above the state average there. In math, 74 students participated with a 4.1% meeting the cutoff score. The state average was 11.2. So this, like as we said, was the first pathway to meeting graduation requirements for students who were unable to meet it with the NJGPA. The district is working with the teachers, or there's an after-school program to help support small group instruction so that students can now begin the second pathway of assessments. The state recognizes multiple assessments that can meet that graduation requirement. The district is utilizing the AccuPlacer, so the teachers and students are working together, and hopefully that will be the pathway they meet. And then there is a third pathway should they not meet that requirement, which is portfolio appeals. But we're hoping that with the support, second pathway will be where they meet that requirement. And that's it. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Triglia, for that report. Based upon that report, if there's any questions by the board? All right, hearing none, that concludes my superintendent's report. Thank you, President Martinez.
Thank you, Dr. Vespignani. We'll move on now to the monitor's report. Mr. Egan?
Yes, good evening, all. Just basically, I definitely reviewed the agenda, and I approve and support totally the resolutions that are there. In addition, I'd like to report that we definitely have sufficient funds to care for all our obligations through the end of the fiscal year. With regard to the audit for last year is finished, and the auditors will be presenting their findings and to administration tomorrow. And so we're on schedule to have the audit formally produced to the board and the public at a public meeting. That date has not been determined yet because we need some of the results of what the administration is going to hear tomorrow. Last but not least, I know it's public knowledge out there that the board is looking to expand the early childhood. That is definitely going forward. Everybody just waiting for what the exact funding numbers will be when the governor releases the state aid numbers. I think that's it's scheduled for this month, February 27th, I believe. And there'll be more information coming forth with that. But it from everything I know, everything I've seen, the district has sufficient funds to go forward with this program without reducing funds, district funds that's currently supporting other programs. All programs will be the same, and we will have enough money to expand further to do the early childhood because it's like there's so much educational evidence showing that starting a program like that impacts the 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds on so many different levels. The board still has questions concerning about to make sure that if I hear it correctly, they're concerned about what the financial impact would be on the district if there's going to be any impact in a negative way. If I misspoke about that, I personally believe there won't be. But if I misspoke with that, let any board member speak up now, and we can talk about it in more detail. Otherwise, my goal is to move forward with this, and then be prepared to have people make a presentation to the finance committee, so that or the whole board, so that all the details can be put on the table. So ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Egan.
I do just have one comment. As you noted, Mr. Egan, the pre-K is an important component to education of the students in Ridgefield Park, and the board definitely supports it, educating the residents of our town. Moving forward with the current plan, I know there's a lot of work that's been going on with that plan. And as you correctly stated, the board is still waiting to hear some of the long-range financial implications and how that plays out for other programs. You've seen the numbers, the board has not seen them yet. So we will look forward to getting that information so that we can make an informed decision about how we're planning to expand the program and where to make sure that it makes sense in the broader context of our district.
Sure, absolutely. Very good.
Thank you, Ms. McNeil. You have any questions?
I just want to publicly say that, again, much to what trustee McNeil said, I think that this board is in full support of preschool. I just think that we have limited information at this point, and we don't have enough information to make an informed decision. So I just want to make it very clear that yes, pre-K is something that we approve of, but we do not have any information regarding what this is going to cost the taxpayer nor the district. So prior to that, making a decision, we need that information.
So just to finish and comment what you just said, obviously I have the numbers, and we're at the point now we'll share them because they're being finalized. The thing is that expanding this program is not gonna have a negative impact on this school district. I've seen the numbers, and the idea of educating the 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds in a more basic situation as opposed to just putting the 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds out to vendors. We're gonna be organize it. It'll be best for the kids, and the money that's being spent will be spent on the children. And no other kids are gonna get hurt by this. I understand what you're saying. You don't know that yet. I do. And that's why I'm saying we're going forward with this program. And we'll, as the information comes forward, it'll be definitely shared with the whole board, the finance committee, everybody. And because like, as it was mentioned, you're looking for what the impact would be, long range. Whatever happens long range could be not known to anybody here, only suspicions. Let's just work on the facts that we have now and we move forward. Because one of the things in this program is if there's a reduction in state aid towards the 3-year-olds and the 4-year-olds, this whole program will end with no additional funds from the Richfield Park General Fund.
I just have a question.
Sure.
You had said that you just made a comment about having 3- and 4-year-olds out to vendors. Is your goal to not continue our relationship with the co-op and Little Stars?
No, absolutely not. We're still going to be we're still going to be connected with them and supporting them too. But now we're going to have I'm going to say a better situation for the children that are going to be in the new program.
Okay, because I was confused about your
Oh, I'm
comment.
sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't express that correct.
I believe the grant requires that it's a blended system.
Yes.
So that there have to be community providers. I don't.
We talked about that at the last board meeting, but I was just confused about the statement that you just made publicly.
Okay.
And Mr. Egan, the long-term implication is not really so much about the pre-K program itself, but the space that we're considering and the future years on how much space we would take and how much that space costs and what it would be used for. And that is a direct burden of the district. And ensuring that we're spending money there wisely is very important. Also, you know, the pre-K program from the state has been this grant money to districts. At some point, grant money like that will go away. And it's our obligation to ensure that we are putting in place an effective and efficient, cost-efficient program that we will be able to sustain when the state money goes away. So
Well,
that's why we're all a little.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You have to understand, and I've said this before, and I think the information went on to the finance committee, is that if the state money goes away, the program goes away. Because we're not obligated. No, because the amount of money involved would be a negative impact on this district if this district had to come up with that money. And it would be a negative impact on the taxpayer. And what my goal is to get this program going without having any negative impacts on the taxpayer. So you're going on the
Mr. Egan, what confuses me there is, aren't we supposed to be putting in a program that could potentially be sustained without the additional grant money?
No.
So that we're never
No.
put. Hold on.
You're going
I'm
on
sorry, can I finish? Can I
No,
finish?
no, because you're going on a supposition a supposition, which is not true.
I'm not going on a supposition that it's not true, that it could be true. What I'm saying is we shouldn't be going into this thinking if the state money dries up, we're going to have to close our doors and send 3- and 4-year-olds back home to their parents after they've been in a program and after we've gotten this community relying on such a program. So what we're trying to avoid is being fiscally responsible and anticipating that either the state aid could completely dry up or be reduced. And therefore, we're trying to be as conservative as possible in our use of this money so that if we ever have to come up with that within the community, we might potentially be able to do it, that we're never forced to say the state money is drying up, so we're closing our doors.
Well, my only comment to that is, right now you have the commitment that the state is supporting this, and it's across the whole state, not just this district, the whole state for universal preschool. So now, okay, so what, should we not go forward with this program and let the 3-year-olds and the 4-year-olds right now suffer?
No, we're fully supportive of going forward with the program. We just want to do it in the most fiscally conservative way.
Well, that's a nice phrase that you're using. Then I'm trying to do the same thing. And we have a program there, and we have, like, for instance, if this district decided to expand buildings and go out for a referendum and take over the program without the additional state aid, we would cancel the lease.
If I can make a
What you're saying
suggestion,
is that in the event that the state money goes away, we have to close the program, and you're concerned.
if I can make a suggestion, because I think we're getting a little bit over our skis here, because the board doesn't have a lot of information. So,
Right.
Mr. Regan, you've promised, and I think the lease is in the works. There's a semi-finalized copy of it that's being reviewed. I think that when we get those answers, I think we'll be able to have a much more fruitful conversation about how to proceed. Because right now, the truth is the board doesn't know the financials of it, doesn't know the long-term impact, hasn't seen the out clauses. There's just too much for us to get into an argument about this right now. I propose that if necessary, we have a special meeting just dedicated to this pre-K program. It's really the biggest endeavor that this district has taken on since this district got in trouble for taking on things like this. So as I've said before, everybody on the board, the majority of the people on the board got on the board because of the decisions that got us into trouble. And so we are a little bit fearful. We are a little bit traumatized. And so we want to go slow and get all the information. You're saying the information looks good. You've seen it. We'll take you on your word for it. When the attorney sees it and the architects and it's presented to us, if this is a good deal, I think that this board will be right behind it. If it's not, we'll have to modify it or change it or move in a different direction, hopefully together. But I propose that we move on from this
I'm
particular
sorry, Dr.
discussion.
Martinez, I have a lot of respect for you and everything, but delaying this project, this is what I see coming. It's just delaying this project, and this project's going forward. And then after I'll sit with you and you can see all the information yourself.
Okay, so I think
And
we're
the board.
both,
Okay, so,
I think we're all clear on where we stand.
okay,
And
very
so
good.
Let's
Okay.
hope it all adds up. Okay, so can I ask if we have closure? We have closure, please? Mr. Bisick, if you could just read into the record the walk-in resolution?
This will be a walk-in resolution under new business. Resolved, the Richfield Park Board of Education has determined that student ID 24003073 shall be removed from the Richfield Park School District 21 days following the date of the notice of final ineligibility, unless a timely appeal is filed with the Commissioner of Education due to insufficient evidence to establish that the student presently is domiciled in Richfield Park, New Jersey. Be it further resolved that the board secretary is authorized to prepare, with the assistance of the board attorneys, the necessary notice of final ineligibility to inform the parent guardian of student ID 24003073 of the board's decision.
Mr. Disler, that resolution will go into finance? All right, so can I get a motion on that new business item, please?
Make a motion.
Second.
The motion is to vote on that resolution as new business. We had a motion? We have a second? Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Cooney.
Yes.
Ms. Kraft.
Yes.
Mr. Phytros.
Yes.
Ms. McNeil.
Yes.
Mr. Malou.
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt.
Yes.
Ms. Velez.
Yes.
Ms. Orth.
Yes.
President Martinez.
Yes. The resolution passes. We will now listen to citizens' comments on agenda. Ms. Betances? You're on agenda? Off agenda, okay, so,
So wait or?
yes.
Sorry. Hi, my name,
No,
wait.
yeah, wait, sorry.
Call you back.
Okay.
He's up.
You're both off agenda. Do we have anybody on agenda? I thought.
Raised their hand.
Okay, we have some people online, if we can promote them. Good evening, Ms. Gottlieb. You're up.
Okay, hi, guys. Leslie Gottlieb, 464A Liberty Street, Little Ferry. The question I have for you tonight, I noticed there are 3 legal matters under finance. 2 of them I understand look like special ed, but can you elaborate on the third one? I was trying to figure out what that was in regard to. It's the last one of the 3. If you can tell us without violating anything.
Yes, we will answer your questions at the end. We're writing them down as you speak. Do you have any other questions?
No, just that third one. I'm just trying to figure out what it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Ms. Malou.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a question on 12.18. It's on the maintenance reserve withdrawal. is this coming about due to possibly the change we have made? In other words, have our bills been going up as far as having repairs done from outside the, agencies, so to speak, or work companies? Or is this a separate matter?
Thank you. Do you have another question?
I did. There was one more. The high impact tutoring grant. I'm just curious, is this being done in-house? Or is this an outside agency coming in, working with the students? That was something else I wanted to see if you could elaborate on. And the last, the things that were discussed prior to the opening of the looking at the public comments, are those considered on agenda or off agenda?
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to repeat that?
Okay, the topics that were just discussed before.
With the state monitor?
With the state monitor or.
That would be off agenda.
Before that, that's off. Okay, then I've got, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Malou. One, no more? Okay, seeing no further comments on agenda. We will move on to, oh, I'm sorry, we'll move on to responding. Yeah, Ms. Gottlieb, the question about the third item on the agenda is a personnel matter, so we cannot elaborate on that.
President Martinez, I can take the other two questions if that's okay. In regard to 1218 and the maintenance reserve, this is not due to any transition that we've made within the facilities department, if I'm understanding the question correctly. This is to fix existing items. We've had some water infiltration. We've had some simply repairs that were never done, and as a result need to be repaired at this point. In terms of the high impact tutoring, this will be a blended model where we have posted internally for our staff members to participate in providing small group targeted tutoring. But what the way that the grant is set forth is that districts are to also partner with outside organizations, ours being Mathnasium. So there will be a process and information released to parents in terms of what that option may be for their children. Thank you.
Thank you. And as always, I encourage people to, he probably doesn't want this, but I encourage the public to email the superintendent or the board president if you have questions that we can elaborate on in a different forum. We will now move on to agenda items. We have no policy to move this month. Trustee Orth, you are off the hook. Trustee Kraft, please move faculty and programs.
I'll make a motion to move 10:01 to 10:03.
Second.
Diane was second. Do we have any questions or comments from the board? I guess not. Mr. Bison, can I have a roll call?
Yes, Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Ms. Kraft,
Yes.
Mr. Phytros,
Yes.
Ms. McNeil,
Yes.
Mr. Malou,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Velez, Ms. Orth,
Yes.
President Martinez.
Yes. The resolutions pass. We have no buildings and grounds to move. Trustee Cooney, you're off the hook tonight. Trustee McNeil, please move finance and insurance.
Sure. I'd like to move 1201 through 1220 for finance and insurance.
Second.
Second. Mr. Cooney is second. Do you have any questions or comments from the board?
I would just, I'm sorry, I would like to echo trustee Kraft's thanks to Ms. Triglia on the grant for the high impact tutoring. I think that's awesome.
The comments? Mr. Bisick, and roll call?
Yes. Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Ms. Kraft,
Yes.
Mr. Phytros,
Yes.
Ms. McNeil,
Yes.
Mr. Malou,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes to all, but I am an abstention on 1201.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Orth,
Yes.
President Martinez.
Yes, and the resolutions pass. Trustee Velez, please move consent agenda.
Second.
Do you have any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Bisick, can I please have a roll call?
Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Ms. Kraft,
Yes.
Mr. Phytros,
Yes.
Ms. McNeil,
Yes.
Mr. Malou,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Orth,
Yeah.
President Martinez.
Yes, and the resolution passes. Trustee Kraft, would you please move personnel?
Make a move to move resolution 1401 to 1419.
Second.
Do you have any questions or comments from the board?
I have two comments. One on 1401, the organizational chart. I'd just like to say thank you. Thank you, thank you. It's the most clear and well-developed chart that I've seen in this district since I've been on the board. And then also just wanted to comment on the two retirements. One, Mary Ellen Murphy, the long-term art teacher in district, and I'm sorry, I don't know, Kalova, the other shorter-term art teacher in district, and to say thank you so much for their service to the district. I only became aware of their resignation this evening, and so didn't prepare any further statements, but wanted to recognize their service to our community.
I'd also like to add Mr. Glover for his service to the district. And I would also like to welcome our new employees to this amazing district. I have no doubt that you'll find your colleagues, leadership, parents, and students amazing. And so welcome to Richfield Park. And Mr. Bisick, we have no other comments. Can I please have a roll call for personnel?
Yes, Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Ms. Kraft,
Yes.
Mr. Phytros,
Yes.
Ms. McNeil,
Yes.
Mr. Malou,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Orth,
Yes.
President Martinez.
Yes, the resolutions pass. We will now listen to citizens' comments off agenda. We have two here. And again, I would ask that you keep to the generous 5-minute limit and respect the board's attempt to stay out of trouble. And to answer your questions completely and thoroughly. Ms. Betances?
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Tance. I'm a 79 Brinkerhoff.
Can you bring the microphone?
Can you hear me better?
Perfect.
Okay, my name is Elizabeth Tances. I live in 79 Brinkerhoff, and my kids go to Roosevelt, and I have two questions. What is the district doing for the resource room? Because my kid were evaluated in there for some particular reason, and the resource room is not adequate for my kids to learn. I sent an email to the principal, but I want to know what is the district doing, because 4 teachers in a classroom with 4 boards. If they're being pulled out for resources for a reason to get one-to-one individually, so be a small group, and that's not what's being provided for my kids. And I don't see any growth on my kids' education. And my second question that I have is the new program that you guys have for math, since I'm seeing it, for how many years did you buy that program? Because I am an educator for 17 years, mathematic, and I see how my kids struggle for basic math. And I'm a high school teacher, and I want my kids to go to high school and be able to pass the test. And the way they're teaching the basic math, it's a lot of procedures for them, for a 7-year-old to do. And that's all my 2 questions that I have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mamie?
Hi, Aniuska Tammy, 75 Christie Street. First, I want to congratulate Mr. Cooney on your daughter's first win in Counting Girls Wrestling. Amazing. I also want to have parents hear me, the ones that are here and at home. Please come support girls sports. It's very important. I have a high school student and also a 7-year-old in Roosevelt. So I would like more parents to attend the girls sports. There's never, and nobody's there. So my question is, what is the board doing, or what is this district doing regarding ESL in Roosevelt School, Grant, or Lincoln? There is a lot of kids that do not speak English, and I'm not just speaking about Spanish. And the other kids that are in the class are translating. I'm a class mom. I saw it with my 2 own eyes, and I couldn't believe it. What are we doing? Pulling a child for an hour a day to teach them a second language, it's not enough. How most of these kids don't even speak the native language. How are you teaching them a second language? It's disheartening. So I want to know what's the plan for that. Because the situation that this country is going through right now with asylum, we don't have room to think about pre-K and 4th-year-old classrooms. How about we concentrate on the students that we have and give them an equal opportunity, which we are not? How do you teach a child math if they don't speak the language? How do you teach a child history? We're teaching kids about the American flag. They don't know what a flag is. We're teaching kids how to be kind. They don't know the word kind. They don't know the word kind in Spanish. What are we doing here as a district? How do you expect these teachers to teach a child a second language and get good grades? I've never seen anything like that. I came to this country when I was 9 years old, and I was put in an ESL program full time in a district that didn't have the money that we have. And I learned English in 3 years. There is beginners, intermediate, and advanced. And I'm sure some of you on the board know that program. You can go to North Bergen and get that program. Go to Union City and get that program. We need to hire educators that could speak a second language, whether it's Arabic, Mandarin, Spanish, whatever it is. There is a child in a 2nd grade that does not speak English, speaks Arabic, and this child has to rely on another student to translate. So the parent doesn't speak the language either. So what do you think is happening to this child? Then all the classroom, everything is done in the computer. They don't even know how to turn on a computer. How is this child going to learn? I'm a class mom, and I saw it, and I was like, what is this? This is insane. How am I getting upset at my son's teacher because my son is not where he's supposed to be when she's being pulled, asking for water, and she doesn't know what he's saying? And my son happens to have a great teacher, but I didn't think that because I didn't know what was happening in the classroom. There's a lot of limbo students. You know what a limbo student is? A student that is not an A student and a student that cannot be in the resource room. That's my child. My child is the limbo student because he's not here and he's not here. So in the middle, the teacher is preoccupied with being here. In the resource room, there's 4 teachers in a resource room teaching 8 kids at a time. What is happening? Then how are we going to get the grades and the scores that we need when they take the testing? How are we going to get those numbers? Well, we're here talking about pre-K. Why? I had to pay for pre-K. It is what it is. We're going to spend all this money. It's going to be Thomas Jefferson all over again. How about we fix the ones we have that are in first grade, second grade, third grade, that need to pass a test, that need to go to high school, and have a teacher like Minanquez that is teaching them simple math in high school because they never learned it. Can't pass a test. That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, and sorry about that. We have to get rid of that timer. Ms. Tammy, I just want to say before we start answering questions, I think we have a couple of people to elevate. But I do want to reiterate, not just that parents have to show up to girls' sports, but parents have to show up to the board meetings because there's no other way for the board to know these observations from parents unless you come to board meetings, unless you contact us. So thank you for all those questions. I saw the administration taking notes, and certainly the board is taking notes. Thank you. Do we have anybody to elevate? Good evening, Ms. Lou, you're up.
Hi again. I was just kind of doing a little bit of math, so to speak, on the New Jersey GPA, the test that was done, that we had the percentages of students who passed. One question I have is how many of the students that took this are new to the district? And how many that took this are English as a second language, to possibly account for the really, really low scores? My other comment, actually, after listening to the 2 people that just spoke, they really had a lot of what I think about lately, especially the first person that spoke to the math situation. I'm currently tutoring one student from your school and a elementary school student or middle school student in Hackensack. And after being a math teacher for over 30 years on the secondary level, middle school and secondary level, I totally understand why these kids are not being able to do well at the high school level. The way we are teaching elementary math is never going to prepare them. And I get introducing the topic that way, but you can't continue to use this as the only method they have to learn or perform an equation, solve an equation or whatever. Next comment is on the actually the fire drill. The fire drill that happened at the high school, I guess it's a week or so ago, the one where the students had to leave the building. I was rather appalled at what I saw, and maybe I'm old school, and maybe where I came from teaching all those years, we had different rules, but there were 10 to 15, I would say probably they look like 7th graders from the view from my house, that were running around, jumping on top of each other. One kid picked up a stick and was running and chasing another one, the horsing around, and I didn't see one adult in the area. if that was a real emergency, I was really watching to make sure nobody got hurt. Part of me, the teacher in me said, walk around and go reprimand them. But I know that wasn't my place. But it really bothered me that this is the way it was being conducted. I actually taught in a private school where we had a fire in the building. No alarms were working. And I had to get a classroom of, actually at that time, a mixed classroom of 6th and 7th graders, 4 flights down an old loft building and out of the building to safety. And thank God those kids listened, because we were walking our way through smoke at the time. So this holds a really important place in my experience, that you can't hold a fire drill that way, at least in my opinion. And I just wanted to let you guys know that that's what I observed, because that's just unacceptable in my mind. No lineup. I don't even know whether they even took attendance when the kids came out. And I hate to say that, but that, you don't even know if all your kids got out if you haven't. And there are certain things that I just don't think we can bend or allow to happen. So just keep it in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Malou. Do we have anybody else to promote? Good evening, Ms. Ramirez, you're up.
Hi, Sharon Ramirez, 205 Overpeck Avenue. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, good. I just had, I actually had a couple of comments from the previous people who spoke, which wasn't what I was going to talk about. But when it comes to, it kind of hits, it's very personal for me being an educator and in the current state of what's going on in our country, where we are getting many children from other countries. So when it comes to ENL and ESL, it's just it's like countrywide, we need to do better. In my class right now, I have 4 different children who speak 4 different languages that are they are new arrivals, and I don't speak any other language. So it's they do receive, ENL services. They receive it as much as they can, but as a country, I think we need to do better. I don't think this is a Richfield Park specific problem. So that really hits home to me, knowing that there's only so much limitations that as a board and as a town and as a school that we can do for that. I do think that teachers in general need to be better supported when it comes to ENL services for these children. But I just wanted to make a comment about that, because I don't think that is a Richfield Park, that Richfield Park is not going to solve this problem, but maybe we can take strides in trying to help and support the teachers a little bit better when it comes to multiple languages in a classroom. The other question I have is that now that we have a new person in charge of the pre-K, I have not been notified about the ECAC committee. So I don't know if it's still in existence, if we are, it still has to be. I don't know if they are going with the previous members of the committee, but we have not had a meeting since the last meeting we had was with Dr. Haynes, which was about a year ago. I think it was in April of last year. So I was just wondering if they were going to continue with the ECAC committee. We had a great committee of educators and people that are in the community. So I don't know if we haven't heard anything about that. So that's a little concerning, especially since there are so many questions about the pre-K program, that the ECAC committee could, help with that. So that was pretty much all I had to say. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ramirez. We have one more. Good evening, Your Honor. If you could just give me your name and address.
Good evening. This is Denise Santana Morales, 101 Hobart Street.
I hope everyone is having a good evening today. The comment that I wanted to say is a follow-up to what another mom said in town, where she mentioned how she's noticed that there are children who do not currently speak English, and therefore it is a challenge for them to get their education conducted. I don't know if this is a thought that has been previously discussed. So if it has, my apologies, but just throwing it out there. Being a mother of a child who has difficulty with speech, he currently has an AAC device, and therefore he has the ability to get his message across using technology to his peers and anyone else in the class that needs to engage with him. So just, maybe planting a seed, could we possibly use technology to give the children who are currently voiceless their voice? Because I can't even imagine what that feels like, not being able to get your thought across, simply asking for water, going to the bathroom, or whatever the case may be. And maybe that's just a temporary idea. Maybe it's a long term. But I just wanted to share that possible exploration of an idea for these children who are currently in our school right now. That's all.
Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
No one else? Okay, so we will move on to answering the questions. Thank you. Dr. V?
Thank you, President Martinez. I'm happy to respond to a few that I can this evening, and if we're unable to, we'll certainly do some follow-up as we have in the past. In regard to the Roosevelt Resource Room, this is a room that has 2 teachers and 2 teacher aides. These types of rooms do require county approval, but in response to the room itself and what the district is doing, we're currently evaluating all facility spaces, understanding that some of these classrooms, we would prefer to be able to have additional space. So we're looking at all of our programs, not just unique to Roosevelt, but across the district, in hope that we can find some additional space for the upcoming year. And this is very much connected to pre-K space in terms of being able to free up some space, as well as the central office space that was commented on in our committee report, to be able to free up some space within our schools as we house many of our offices within. In regard to the math program, we are in our 4th year of the Savvis math program. We have another 2 years on that contract. Naturally, we go through a cycle where we evaluate the programs. In terms of changing a program, my take on it is, districts and administrations frequently change programs, which isn't always helpful. Because what happens is it becomes essentially this vicious cycle of changing programs where we are then retraining staff on a new program, trying to move on to the next best thing that is presented to us. And that's not to say that we certainly won't do a thorough evaluation of the existing program, but what I would want to share is that it's not always the program that is the root of the issue. So in other words, what other resources and training are we providing to our staff to support them to appropriately implement effective instruction in the space of mathematics in regard to this particular question. So, again, we'll certainly go through an evaluation process, but I just caution in terms of frequently changing programs, because programs, it's not the curriculum, whereas they are aligned to standards and we align them to the curriculum. It's not the end all be all. And I just wanted to share that as we go through that evaluation process. In terms of the ESL program, the comment in terms of this is a topical one, so thank you for that. We do have an ad hoc subcommittee of faculty and program, which is the Social Justice Committee, and internally as the administration, we've been meeting to discuss essentially revitalizing that committee to take on topical areas, to review programs and processes that are potentially disenfranchising or marginalizing different student populations or staff populations, and to determine what the research tells us on how to ameliorate that, what are best practices from other neighboring districts who have like demographics. So actually the point that we're discussing now is how are we effectively acclimating our MLs to the district to examine what some of those practices are. So the administration will be shortly reaching out to the board subcommittee to present our ideas and to have a thought exchange on best practices and moving forwards. And it is certainly noted, we have had a significant increase in our ML population as an example of that from 22-23 to 23-24 school year. At the junior senior high school alone, we had approximately a 28 student increase. So that number is not unique to the junior senior high school. That does exist in across the district. So from a staffing perspective, by way of the budget process for the upcoming school year, that is also something that we're turning some attention to in terms of providing some additional supports for our students due to the increase in that population. In terms of the NJ GPA data and the specifics on that, we're happy to take a deeper dive into that and report back out in terms of some of the specifics that we have related to that question. Students new to the district, how many were considered MLs, and we can share that information based upon those numbers if it's appropriate to do so. In terms of the committee for the pre-K program, our new director is aware of the need to, again, breathe some life into that committee. She's very eager to begin to do some outreach to determine, some interest. And certainly that's something that we're looking forward to again, revitalize and establish. And I believe those are the responses that I can provide at this point.
Can I just add one thing? I wanted to just highlight, I think it was Ms. Rodriguez who was here who reported on MLs not too long ago. And she had mentioned that there's a good percentage of our staff who has been trained in sheltered English instruction, largely, I believe, due to her efforts. And I would just say, as an educator, when I heard that, had no idea what that was, what it was about, but it became an opportunity for me to, they were looking for volunteers in my district to go through that training. And I would say, I'm not fully through it. I'm still taking part in it, but it's an excellent resource. And I teach high school computer science. So imagine teaching a non-English speaking person something as difficult as high school computer science. And it has made a significant difference, not just to the MLs in the classroom, but to any of my special education, to every student in the classroom, it has made a difference. So the fact that we've had that here, we've had teachers trained in this program, while I'm not saying it makes up for everything, it has made a difference. And I think it's something that we should applaud for this district to have been a little bit ahead of the curve, at least in that area.
Yeah, I do remember that meeting. Ms. Rodriguez was standing there, and she was discussing the PD of, providing shelter instruction PD. I've been teaching for 23 years. I think more than 15 of those years, I've taught bilingual ESL. So there's, like the parent said, there's different levels of language development, and we have to look at each child individually. So yes, shelter instruction is a great strategy, and I do remember Ms. Rodriguez saying that she she's buying this PD, but if I recall correctly, possibly expanding the program. I'm not sure, I'm not here, but I clearly remember, yes. We are working, the district, yes. Yes. But there's different types of training too.
So that's not to minimize the issues that you raised because you saw them. So clearly they're still here. But there has been talk among the administration about how to address this. It is on the radar. There's been a big, demographic shift in the country, demographic shift in the town, and so we need to respond accordingly. Yeah. I saw you reach for the trigger. Yeah. All right. We will now close citizens' comments off agenda, and may I have a motion to close the meeting?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
And I'm assuming we're all in favor. Have a good night, everybody.
Yes.
And thank you to the parents who came out. Really appreciate it.